Morning rush hour on the London Underground. Two little girls, aged 6 years and 2 years, running a little ahead of their mother as she pushes a pram carrying their baby brother. The mother calls after them to stick together and to get on the tube. Her phone rings. She looks down at the screen to see who's calling. Looks up to see her daughters get on the tube. Before she can reach them, the door slides shut and the train moves away. She panics, gestures wildly for them to get off at the next station. A security officer arrives, radios the station ahead, assures her that his colleagues will get the girls. The mother finally gets to the next station. Real panic. Only the 2-year-old is waiting for her. The 6-year-old has vanished, and no one saw a thing. A thriller by Andrea Mara. Let's switch on the reading lab. Hello, I'm Asavari, and on this channel I review books and talk about reading in general. Let's take a look at the details of today's book.
Facts and Figures.
No One Saw a Thing is a suspense thriller written by Irish author Andrea Mara. It was published in May 2023 by Bantam in Great Britain. This paperback edition of Penguin Books came out in 2024. The book is 384 pages long. Right now, the paperback costs about 498 rupees on Amazon and Kindle edition costs 312 rupees. An audiobook version is also available on Audible India. Now let's talk about the actual contents of the book. But as you know, no spoilers, no worry. Just
The cover story.
what you heard in the introduction was the opening page of the novel. As you can imagine, the main theme of the novel is what is every parent's biggest fear and worst nightmare: a missing child. Saif and her husband Aaron Sullivan live in Dublin. Aaron is a big shot lawyer while Saif is a freelance journalist. They have 3 children: Faye, who is 6 years old, B, who is 2 years old, and a baby son, Toby. They're all in London for a 20-year reunion with Aaron's friends. The story begins at the London Underground station when Saif is traveling on her own with the 3 children. Aaron is not with them, and Saif is navigating the rush of peak hour commutes on her own, struggling with the bag, pushing the baby's pram, and keeping an eye on the 2 little girls walking ahead of her. They've just gotten out of the lift when her phone rings. By force of habit, she looks down to check who's calling. It's her editor, and Saif is slightly annoyed that she's calling her in spite of knowing that Saif is on vacation. The call gets cut off before she can decline it, and she calls after her daughters to stay together and get onto the tube because she's right behind them. But somehow in the rush, she gets separated from the girls, and by the time she reaches the train, the doors shut and the train moves on. In a panic, she shouts and gestures wildly for the girls to get off at the next station. A passerby realizes what has happened and tries to comfort her by telling that the man standing next to the girls seems to have understood what has happened and is likely to help them get off at the next station. A security officer arrives on the scene. He radios ahead with a description of the girls. He is confident that the officers at the next station will get the girls and keep them safe. The next train arrives in a few minutes and Saif travels to the next station. When she reaches there, another security officer is standing with B. Saif hugs her tightly in relief and looks around for Faye. When she doesn't see Faye, she asks the officer, "Where's my older daughter?" And the security officer looks confused. She says, "What older daughter? There was only one girl on the train." The man who helped B get off the train also looks bewildered when he is asked about Faye. "I just saw this little girl," he says. "There was no one with her." From there begins a massive search for 6-year-old Faye. No one seems to have seen her. As the search continues and the story goes back and forth in time, secrets are revealed and everyone seems to be lying. Let me tell you what I think about the novel, no spoilers, so you can decide if this is going to be your next read.
Speaking my mind.
Andrea Mara's book is a humdinger. Right from the first paragraph, the story grips you. She leads you in one direction, and just when you start thinking that you're kind of getting it, she throws in a twist. You suspect one thing, one person, then another thing, another person, then another one. She keeps you off kilter all the time. She brings you to a point where you don't know what or why, but you begin to suspect everyone of doing something wrong. And if someone doesn't seem to be acting suspiciously, you think that's exactly why they are suspect. There are 79 chapters in the book. The book is written in a way that generally the timeline alternates between a few days ago and the present moment in subsequent chapters. A few times the timeline switches to the distant past to pick up a thread that is relevant to the current events. Every so often, Andrea Mara manages to detonate a mini bomb at the end of a chapter. And then you have to wait for the next chapter of that timeline to know what happened next at that point in time. It's a brilliant strategy to keep the reader hooked. I'm not going to spoil the story for you, but I will reassure you that there is no blood and gore or unnecessary violence in the story. I love a good mystery and thrilling suspense, and while there might be a few exceptions to the rule, overall these days I have no stomach for violent, gory descriptions. No One Saw a Thing fits the bill perfectly. It's suspenseful and thrilling without being gory. This isn't a book for life lessons, but still, on the first page itself, there's a line that reads,
Quote unquote.
as with most disasters, it isn't one single event or decision or misalignment of stars that causes it, but a myriad of tiny twists and turns over the course of the morning. True, disasters are usually a long time in the making. Tiny causal factors build up over time, yet we are only able to correlate them after the fact. Pretty profound observation for a thriller. Now it's time for the Linescape rating of today's book.
Linescape rating.
As you know, Linescape is an acronym for the 10-factor rating system that I have devised in order to make my book ratings more methodical and consistent. There's a link in the description to a more detailed video about the Linescape rating system. You can check that out. So here goes. L for language. Andrea Mara seamlessly alternates between the two timelines. 8 on 10. I for impact. 7 on 10. One time read. But I'm buying more of her books. She's written 7 books in all. Her latest novel, Someone in the Attic, was published in June 2024. Sounds really promising. N for novelty, 8 on 10. E for engagement. I was hooked. Completely absorbed by the events unfolding as well as the fate of Faye, 9 on 10. D for descriptions. The descriptions are done just right. Neither too wordy nor too clipped, 8 on 10. S for sense, also known as logic, 8 on 10. C for characters. Some of the characters struck me as going out of character, especially in the later parts of the novel. But overall, believable, 8 on 10. A for aesthetics. The cover feels a little impersonal, especially for a novel that tugs at your heartstrings. The clearly legible font type and font size is a plus, 7 on 10. P for plot. Engrossing plot. I resisted the urge to flip to the end and find out what happened. The end was a bit anticlimactic, however, it's a solid story, 8 on 10. E for enjoyment. The writer keeps you guessing throughout. It's a thrilling novel with a good mystery and a very human story, 9 on 10. That gives us a total score of 80 on 100, which translates into 4 solid stars. Now it's time to put my thoughts
In a nutshell.
No One Saw a Thing by Andrea Mara is a thriller that hooks you without any disturbing violence as such. There's a human angle of a missing child and a likable protagonist in the form of a mother. The writer gets you emotionally involved in the fate of the child and the family from the first page itself. The back and forth in the timeline is used effectively to build up to a conclusion where the timelines meet in a final revelation. I would certainly recommend this thriller that rates 4 stars on my Lionscape rating system. It's a good one time read, especially on a vacation. Before I go, I must tell you that I upload a fresh episode every week. So if you're always looking for a good book to curl up with, do hit the subscribe button. Also hit the bell icon so you never miss an episode. And please share with your friends and family. The more, the merrier. This is Asavari signing off for now, and until the next time, have fun under the reading lamp. Switch on, read on.